And each time I'll be drawing two cards. One of those cards will be from the section of the deck that deals with fundamental concepts, the physiological or social or economic things at play. The other part of the deck are the 5 aspects of salutogenesis, and we'll be pulling a card from a design prompt for one of those aspects. And it's a really fun way to put the two together and sort of give us a prompt for the week so that we can keep these themes top of mind and you can make a difference. And if you've been listening, let me know what you've put into practice from the last episodes on the difference that it's made or how this has helped you. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. That really does help to support the community so more people can learn about this. All right, let's dive right in. The stress card, you can see here, we have a lightning bolt, major strike. Stress is exactly like that. It is a major disruptor to our system. Now, there can be good stress, something called eustress, which is actually that little bit of pressure that motivates us. But most of the time in the modern world, when we talk about stress, we're talking about distress, something that is causing us to feel that we are in danger in some way. Now, way back at the start of human evolution, stress played a really important role. We needed to have a physiological response in our body that would let us escape danger when we encountered it. So, when something happens that causes fear that our body senses as danger, our immune system shuts down, our digestive system shuts down, higher level of thought and reason shut down, all the blood rushes to our limbs. We are flooded with the hormones adrenaline and cortisol. Now, if we actually had to run away or fight off danger, that reaction would be incredibly helpful for our survival. And the act of the physical movement and exertion that would take would burn off those hormones. So the response would shut down and our body would reset afterwards. But in our modern world, we're very seldom needing to physically fight or run away from danger. Most of what our body is perceiving as danger, what is triggering that stress response, can be things like financial concerns, looming deadlines, pressure to get things done or expectations from other people, health concerns, uncertainty in life. So it's a lot harder given that those stressors don't involve physical exertion to handle and the fact that they are chronic for that adrenaline and cortisol to get burned off. It stays in our system and we keep getting new hits of it flooding into our body because these things don't go away. They're not one and done. So, this is why stress long term can cause inflammation in our body. It can be the root of physical diseases like heart disease, cancer, diabetes. It can be the cause of mental illness, anxiety, PTSD, and more. And it can also, over time, even affect something called our epigenetics, which is which gene expressions get turned on, which is how we can have things like generational trauma go on. So stress is a big thing. And as you can imagine, if salutogenesis is about having resources to cope, stress is taking away our physical and mental resources big time. So Now let's move on to the other card, which is wayfinding. And you can see here, I've got this maze. Now, wayfinding is part of the aspect of salutogenesis called self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is essentially believing that you can. And studies involving self efficacy have shown that when somebody believes that they can do something, their success rate is greatly increased. This has been tested in people who want to quit smoking, for example. When they believe that they actually can do it, they know it's going to be hard, but they have confidence, they feel empowered, they're much more likely to be successful than somebody who is maybe a little bit intimidated by what it means to quit, who's not sure that they really can give it up. And they're more likely then to fall back in moments of weakness than the person who believes they can. So, what does this have to do with wayfinding? Well, if you think about it, we have to navigate space all day, every day. And if we know where we're going, we often don't even think about it. It's a habit for us to, for example, get from our home to our work or to a friend's house. But when we're going somewhere that we've never been before, even though we have our GPS systems to guide us, there's still a lot that they can't tell us. So we aren't sure where to park or where the entrance is or where to go once we've entered the building. And all of those things can, as you can imagine, create stress. Now, if we're already stressed out, that's just going to fuel everything that happens in that stress response. And unfortunately, those are the very things we need to rely on in order to navigate a space that we've never been before. So, wayfinding is very connected to stress because when we don't feel empowered that we can get to where we're going. Maybe we're running late and now we're worried that we're going to miss an appointment or make a bad impression on somebody or miss something important. That only contributes more to our stress level. So, what can we do about this in our own lives? Well, the thing with stress is that you need to invest in self care, in doing things that will help you to reset. So, if adrenaline and cortisol are the hormones that flood our body when we are feeling stress, dopamine and oxytocin are the chemicals that flood our body when we're in the opposite state, where we are resting, digesting, renewing. So we have to do things to deliberately allow ourselves to feel comfort, pleasure, joy, and love in order to help reset that. Well, there's lots of practices you could put in your personal life, things like meditation or journaling or gratitude practice or yoga or walking. What can we do to the physical space that we're in? For example, photographs of people you love, when you see them, can give you that little hit of joy, of love, of pleasure. Artifacts from a trip you've been on or a gift given to you by someone that you really care about can again remind you of good things in your life. Think about how you can create more opportunities for movement in the space that you're in. So it might be a loop that you could walk in. It might be opportunities to pace, opportunities to rock or fidget or move around a little bit. It could be things like positive distractions that give you something else to do with your thoughts than ruminate about what is stressing you. When we think about wayfinding, there it is, what can we do to begin to have landmarks in our environment that signal things to us. So if you are in a new space and you're trying to learn your way, what can you notice? Is there a piece of artwork that you pass just before you have to make a turn? Is there an accent color on the wall? Is there a flooring pattern change? Don't just rely on written signage. Look for things in the built space that start to be markers for you. And of course, if you are the one who is designing that space, think about decision points and think about how you can call attention to those decision points in more ways than one. Some people will read signs, other people will read numbers, still others are more attuned to color, pattern, artwork themes, even plant schemes or features like a bench or a water feature or a sculpture that start to really anchor people in the space and that are far more memorable. We do things called chunking when we're trying to find our way. So we might actually have to do 4 or 5 steps, but we will break it down into, oh, yeah, at the green wall, I turn left. When you're designing, give people those opportunities to discover their own form of chunking so that they can more easily find their way. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. I love sharing all of this with you, and I hope that you've learned a little bit more about the way that stress impacts well being and one design prompt that will give people the self efficacy that they need to reduce their stress, and that is feeling confident about finding their way through space. Take care, everyone, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you next time.